Hey guys, KO here, and today we're gonna open up this dripper. This is the Origami dripper from Japan. We actually wrote about this, or Peter over there wrote about this for dailydrinkmag.com and on our Instagram, dailydrinkmag. And when we wrote about it, a lot of people had a lot of questions of where to get it. And at the time, which was about a month ago, you really couldn't get it anywhere in the Philippines. But now, I'm very happy to say that this was sent over by Raymond and our friends over at El Capitan Enterprises, and they are actually going to be carrying this already. In fact, you can go to their Instagram and send them a message and you can buy it from them right away. They're selling this. I believe they have some of these stands, but let's open it up and let's see what's inside the box. So on the top, you have a diagram. It's kind of like a line diagram of what the dripper looks like on the inside. You also have another line diagram on the front of the dripper, and it says Origami Dripper S. And then on one side it says Origami Japan. And then finally on this side we have the kind of the product information about the dripper itself. So you have the diameter, size, what it's made of. Yeah, used only for intended purposes though. Do not cool and heat rapidly, which is kind of a weird instruction for a dripper because that may cause breakage. And then dry thoroughly after use, made in Japan. This is the Origami Dripper S. So I'm gonna open up the top, and inside you see that it is inside a little bit of foam, like a sheet of foam. So the foam and the cardboard protect it, and here is the dripper. Isn't that cool? So yeah, it's just like any other cone dripper in terms of that, you know, the water goes in the top and it heads towards the bottom. But one of the things that makes the Origami really cool is the shape allows for a very high flow rate of coffee. But you can also use a cone filter like a V60 filter or these wave style filters that you use in the Kalita Wave inside of this thing. I'm gonna take a moment to clean it, to wash it, and I'll be right back to brew it. The coffee we're brewing today is this Ngozi single origin coffee from Burundi, and this is roasted by Plain Sight Coffee Roasters. They also sent this over, and we have a packaging review of this coming up soon as well. Make sure that you do follow at Daily Drink Mag on Instagram and see what we think of the packaging. But today we're gonna find out what we think of the coffee and of the dripper. Okay, we're back, and let's see, we have our Kalita Jug 400. We're gonna put that there, and then we're gonna put this wooden Origami filter holder or Origami S cone holder on top, and the Origami is gonna go right on top. And the nice thing about a ring like this, because you could actually put it directly on whatever jug you're using, but we're gonna put it on top of this ring. The ring is nice because it kind of automatically levels it out. Now, something I learned from Naina, who was one of our baristas here for a while, and Naina used to be a baker, is that you always get the filter from the bottom, and that makes sure that you can only get one. And apparently this is how they do it with cupcakes. So that's perfect. And I'm gonna pop that in, and you can see that the filter actually fits really nicely, really snugly inside of the Origami. I wonder if it's exactly one to one. It looks like it is. One ridge on the filter to one ridge on the Origami. Perfect fit. And then we've already ground our coffee. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna wash the filter. Now, some people say that you don't have to wash your filter, but when we wash the filter, we're actually doing two things. We're trying to remove any paper bag taste, and they say you don't have to wash the filter because on a high quality filter like the Kalita ones or the Hario filters, it doesn't have a taste already. Like, they come nice from the factory and somewhat flavorless. But the other reason why we are gonna wash the filter is to warm up the entire system. We want the dripper to warm up, and we want the receptacle to warm up, and that will create a more stable brewing environment for the entire brew process. All right, so let's go ahead and wash this filter. I'm using the same water that I'm going to be brewing with, and that means that this is 96 degrees. And right off the bat, washing this filter, I'm really glad I did it because I can smell some of the paper flavor just rising up off the brewer. And now we are ready to brew. So I'm gonna take my coffee and I'm gonna put it inside the cone. Now I'm careful putting it in. I want the coffee to go in lightly. And the reason why I want it to go in lightly is because I actually want it to make a mound in the middle. I'm not sure if you can see that. Let me see if I can reframe this. So what I've done is I've actually put 15 grams of coffee into this cup, into this brewer, and I'm gonna add another 225 grams of liquid into the coffee to make our final brew. And that's about a 1:15 ratio. Kind of coarse grind. And let's start. So I'm gonna start my timer. And the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add water to wet all of the grounds here. And I'm gonna try and do that within about 13 seconds and get to about 50 grams of water. I wanna wet all of this coffee right away so that when we get to the brewing process, when this gets to about 35 seconds, I'm gonna start putting more water. I'm sure that the coffee grounds that are in there are already fully saturated and ready to extract. 40 seconds, and I'm gonna add another 100 grams by pouring the water in a swirling pattern. Now, I haven't experimented that much with this dripper. It's my first time to brew with it. But it looks like it has a really high flow rate, which is all the rage nowadays. It's pretty perfect. And I'm gonna try and get as much water, as much liquid moving evenly throughout the entire surface of the slurry, which is what we call this water coffee mixture during brewing. Off the bat, I see that the coffee liquid is kind of light versus other brew methods, which I'm gonna say is a good thing. All right, so 130 seconds. I'm gonna try and get all the way to about 200 grams of water using a light, low turbulence swirl. And then once this clock gets all the way up to 2 minutes, I'm gonna put the remaining 25 grams in for the final drawdown. Alright, so now we're just very lightly putting in water to 225. And at 225, we're gonna put down the kettle and let this draw down and wait for all of the coffee to make its way through the grounds and down into our Kalita jug. My target time for brewing should be about 3 minutes. I think that's a fair amount of time for brewing this kind of coffee. All right, so we're coming up on 3 minutes. And we can see a nice flat bed starting to form. Very similar to a Kalita wave. Actually kind of a hybrid because we still have kind of this pie plate shape inside of the cone, which is similar to a V60, but you still have that very flat bed that you get from the even extraction of the Kalita wave. All right. So I'm gonna move the dripper off. It's been 3 minutes, 23 seconds for our entire brew time. I'm gonna take this off and then give this a little swirl. Smells delicious. Okay, so I'm gonna put a cup here and I'm gonna tear the scale so I can see how much coffee we actually got out from our brew process. Okay, 189 grams, so that's about 189, 190 ml, which is pretty good. That means that about 35, 36 grams of water got stuck inside of the brewer, inside of the coffee, which is pretty exact because we're looking at about 2 times the water should get stuck inside of the ground, should be absorbed by the ground. So we have a pretty consistent extraction rate. Okay, so here's our coffee brewed in the Origami dripper. My first time to brew in it after opening it. The color of the coffee, it's nice and red. This is of course the Ngozi Burundi from Plain Sight coffee roasters. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see how red it is? Maybe it's a lighting thing. Let's taste it. I like it. That high flow rate really has brought out a lot of the spiciness in this coffee. There's a tea-like texture to it, and it's tangy. Yeah, there's some acidity to it. It's not that acidic. I would probably play around with this brew a bit more, maybe a higher brew temperature. When we heated up the water, it was at 96 degrees, but I think that it might have kind of settled at 94, 92 degrees during the brew process. But it is delicious. All right, so that's the Origami dripper and our Ngozi single origin coffee from Plainside Coffee Roasters. If you'd like to know more about the Origami dripper, we actually have an article all about the kind of the history of the Origami dripper and the design. And we'll include a link in the description of this YouTube to that article, or if you're on the blog, then there should be a link there. I really like the dripper. The colors are beautiful, but I like that the coffee is like off the bat. I do like it very much. Again, I would still tweak, I would experiment with this, but that's a big part of the pleasure of getting a new brewer and a new system like this, is that you can experiment, right? And that's kind of the best part about it, just experimenting over and over. There really is no price on like how inspired you can be, and this really is a very inspiring design. It's beautiful, and even though this is, you know, a not mass market, but it is a proper product, it does still have kind of a feel of being handmade. So it does have high quality, but you do feel the craftsmanship, specifically with how thin this porcelain that they've used is. This is not an easy thing to do. And sometimes you might see online some knockoff versions of it, and the porcelain is too thick. The result in that is that the thermal stability starts to have issues. Also, I mean, why bother getting the fake one when you can get the real thing? Again, like to shout out Raymond and our friends over at El Capitan. Totally love this dripper. Can't wait to experiment some more with it. Go over to their Instagram and see what colors they have, because this is available in a range of colors, but they are selling out fast. So if you want one of these, I do know that they're gonna order again, but with the current situation in the world, it's kind of hard to get things shipped all around. I do recommend you call them right away if you want one of these Origami drippers. All right, thank you so much for watching. Remember to follow us on Instagram. At Keo Kosha is my Instagram, but also follow at Honeycomb Manila, which is where we are taping today. And of course, Daily Drink Mag. That's at Daily Drink Mag and www.dailydrinkmag.com on your browser. And read about the origami and see all the stuff we have to cover. And subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. The button's somewhere there. All right, peace. Bye.